Once upon a time in Second Life, shopping events were a community effort, an exciting way for creators to get exposure and shoppers to find new favorites. But that fairy tale? It's dead. In its place, we've got an unspoken syndicate of event owners and organizers who've turned what used to be opportunity into economy control. They don't just run events, they own the bodies you create for. They run the weekend sales your income depends on. They curate the exposure on Facebook galleries and Seraphim. They decide who gets in and who doesn't. This isn't coordination. It's a power structure. This isn't marketing. It's a creator feudal system. Welcome to the prim mafia. Creators aren't just paying booth fees anymore. They're paying loyalty fees, aka stay silent and loyal or get cut. You want visibility? Pay up. You want promotion? Play nice. You want to not get buried at the bottom of the gallery while the organizer's alt gets top billing every week? Keep your mouth shut. It's a digital gatekeeping machine disguised as community events. And the scary part, it works. Because it's not about whether the events are fair. It's about who's willing to speak, while knowing they might never get in again. This is where it starts. Not with a gacha, not with a fat pack, but with a booth fee and a blindfold. The prim mafia doesn't just take your lindens. It takes your leverage and then asks if you want to pay extra for exposure. The Second Life shopping cartel. Before we dive in, cue the dramatic music. Someone res a throne, and let's get petty. Welcome to Slexposé, behind the prim of Second Life's shadiest business tactics, also known as the Real Housewives of Mesh Economy Collapse. This is Part 2, in which we lovingly drag one of Second Life's favorite illusions, shopping events. The glittering utopias where creators pay thousands of lindens for the privilege of being placed between a breedable cactus and someone's 14th identical sofa release. In Part 1, we tackled the one linden demo scam, because nothing says classy like charging people to try on something they'll probably return, cry about, or forget to unpack for 6 months. But now, we're going deeper. We're talking booth fees. We're talking favoritism. We're talking digital Hunger Games, where creators fight to the death for a teleport landing spot near the lag bubble. Now, if you're just here to shop, no judgment. You're probably thinking, I don't care if creators are crying in Blender. I just want my PBR nails and my 75 Linden crop top. And listen, live your truth. But just know, behind every cute jacket is a creator mainlining Red Bull at 3 a.m., questioning their life choices, and praying their brand logo isn't stuck behind someone's invisible wall. So, if you want to keep pretending shopping events are glamorous community showcases, go ahead. But if you're ready to see the puppet strings, the sponsor spots, and the booth roulette rigged game behind the curtain, then pour a drink, clear your inventory, and buckle up. Because this is Slexposé, and in this episode, we're not just spilling the tea, we're steeping in it. A quick look back, the era of shopping. Let's rewind for a second, because it wasn't always like this. Back in the early days of Second Life, I'm talking 2008-ish, shopping wasn't the whole game. Sure, we shopped, but it wasn't the main activity. It was more like, I need something ridiculous to wear to the club tonight. This hair has a built-in glow that could blind God. Where's that particle belt that summons rotating dolphins? We were chasing lag-inducing particle accessories and neon hair that lit up entire clubs. It was messy. It was chaotic. It was fun. If you didn't crash a sim at least once because of your insane particle trail, you simply weren't cool enough. particles were the thing. They were the fashion and the statement. But then came the rise of events. The dressing room offered curated discounts. Collabor 88 launched in 2011 and quietly changed the game. Then came TMD, Fameshed, Custom 9, The Chapter 4, Shiny Shabby, and On 9, each bringing something different, each pulling more attention away from main stores. And when the arcade dropped, Gacha Mania went full throttle. Suddenly, shopping wasn't a side activity. It was the activity. Monthly calendars were filled with opening dates, early access, group previews, and teleport wars. What started as a way to discover cool, new things turned into a full-blown ecosystem, creator feudalism. In this new order, creators aren't independent anymore. They're tenants, serfs, vassals in mesh and bomb. You want to be seen? Then kneel at the gates of the estate. The event estate, the body estate, the weekend sales estate, each with its own price, its own rules, its own lords. Here's how the feudal chain feels like it works. You design for a body, and somehow that body seems to orbit the same few event circles. You apply to that event, and it's hard not to notice the same top-tier names always front and center. You pay $3,000 to $20,000 for a booth. But wait, there's a catch. Some events are backed by visible creators. Others, the ownership is vague. Connections are unclear. And trying to figure out who actually runs what, good luck. It's harder than tracing mesh alts during a drama spiral. Nobody really talks about it. And that's the point. Because if we knew how connected it all was, we might start asking questions. But this is bigger than us little shoppers and meager creators. The game is already built. We're just trying to rent a booth in it. Want in next round? Better keep those reviews glowing and your opinions on mute. Don't like it? There's 100 creators in line behind you, desperate for your spot. This isn't business. It's feudal loyalty disguised as branding. Your work feeds the kingdom. But the lords set the table, and you're not eating first. The booth fee is just the beginning. Some events take a cut of your gacha sales. Some resell priority spots in galleries or note cards. Others charge extra fees for sponsor status, even if you've been loyal for years. And almost all of them demand loyalty fees, aka stay silent and loyal or get cut. Yeah, we're saying it again, louder. And God forbid you speak out publicly. Say something, and your next application might just get lost. Coincidence, of course, just business. Meanwhile, event owners are pulling in millions of lindens a week. One weekend sale with 350 plus participants at 3,000 lindens a head? That's $1 million right there, every 7 days. And in real world money, that's around $4,000 per week, give or take. And what do creators get? A note card, a Facebook album, maybe a Seraphim post. Promotion? Minimal. Support? Selective? Profit? You better hope your item hits the top of the gallery, if you're even shown. This isn't an event scene anymore. This is a landscape of digital castles, where you pay for access, stay silent for favor, and work yourself to burnout just to keep your spot at the back of the hall. But some creators, they're walking away. They're going back to main store drops. They're done being vassals in someone else's economy, because when the castle starts to rot from the inside, you don't rebuild the walls. You burn the blueprint. You ever wonder why so many creators are burnt out, fed up, and quitting quietly? It's not just the booth fees. It's not just the oversaturation. It's the fear that if you say something, if you even hint at criticism, you'll be blacklisted. This isn't paranoia, it's pattern. We've seen creators go from top event spots to ghosted in a heartbeat after speaking out, after asking questions, after making one wrong comment in group chat. Suddenly, the group invite never comes. Suddenly, the application must have gotten lost. Suddenly, you're not in the Seraphim preview, not on the promo board, not anywhere. That's how control works here. Not with bans, but with exclusion. A system built to reward silence and punish transparency. And so creators whisper. They come to people like me, anonymously. On alts, in direct messages, saying things like, I'd message you from my main, but I'm afraid of getting blocked from the events I rely on. I've wanted to say something for a year, but I can't afford to lose that exposure. If you talk, they blacklist you. They're not overreacting, they're surviving. We're supposed to be in a community where creativity thrives. But the minute you question the system, you're treated like a threat instead of a peer. This silence, it's not just fear, it's strategy. Because if creators all started comparing notes out loud, if they realized just how much they're all paying for so little return, the whole empire would tremble. And maybe it should. Because silence might protect your next round. But it won't protect your worth. And it won't protect the next creator coming up behind you, walking into the same trap you're too scared to name. The arcade files, Gacha is back. And so are the gatekeepers. Now that Gacha's been resurrected, the arcade has slinked out of the shadows, and with it, the kind of whispers that belong on a red string board next to a blurry photo of Philip Rosedale and a glowing mesh eyeball. Word on the street, booth fees might now be 20,000 lindens. Unconfirmed. But it's been said they might charge 10% of sales instead of a flat fee, and that past booth fees could have been around 5,000 lindens, with sponsor spots possibly hitting 10,000 lindens. So if someone's whispering $20,000, we're not laughing. We're listening. But here's where the conspiracy gets juicy. You can't apply. You can't submit a note card. You can't fill out a Google form. You get invited. Which raises a perfectly reasonable question. What dark ritual does one need to complete to get into the arcade? Must you offer your firstborn alt to the mesh gods? Do you drink cat blood while reciting old gacha item numbers in reverse? Or is it as simple as knowing the right people at the right after party with the right pixel wine? Because no one's talking. There's no published standard, no transparent selection. Just golden tickets handed out in secret, and a line of creators quietly wondering why them, not me. And hey, maybe it's merit. Maybe it's magic. Maybe it's just a vibe only the elite can access through high-lag meditation. One thing's clear. When an event becomes invite-only and cash-heavy, it stops being opportunity and starts being a gated economy. So until someone hands us a booth application or decodes the invitation spell, all we've got is speculation, sarcasm, and receipts. But hey, that's Slexposé, baby. And let's be blunt. This revival isn't about creativity or community. It's about who profits. And at the top of that list, Linden Lab. The gacha money loop. How Linden Lab wins 3 ways. Here's how it works. 1. Buying lindens. Shoppers buy lindens to play gachas, thousands at a time. Linden Lab gets a cut via Tilia fees and exchange rates. 2. Creator cash outs. Creators who rake in those lindens cash out. Linden Lab gets another fee on those outgoing payments. 3. Marketplace resells. When gacha items flood the MP for resale, especially rares, Linden Lab gets their commission cut on each sale again. Buy, spend, resell equals 3 times transactions equals 3 times profits for Linden Lab. It's not just good business, it's a cash loop on steroids. Linden Lab brought back gacha not because they re-evaluated the policy, but because they saw a golden hole in their revenue after banning it. And who pays the price? Creators pay twice, once with ridiculous booth fees to be seen. Again, when their rare items get flipped for 10 times the price by resellers and they don't see a dime of that resale. Buyers pay with inventory they'll never use, and Linden's they overspent chasing a rare that probably just landed in someone else's altbot. And who wins? Linden Lab, the event owner, the gacha flippers. Everyone but the one doing the actual creating. You built this world. You can break the system. Creators are the economy. Not the event owners. Not the body makers. Not the weekend sales crews riding on 300 logos and a group note card. You, the creators. You built the content, you drive the Lindens, you bring the customers, and you keep this entire pixel empire from collapsing into irrelevance. They don't want you to realize that, because the second you do, the illusion of power breaks. Here's the truth they hope you never say out loud. If 10 top creators walked out of Access today, that event would bleed. If creators started doing main store releases with real marketing, weekend sales would feel it immediately. If shoppers knew how much creators were paying just to exist, they'd start asking questions. If more people stopped whispering and started talking, the whole damn system would shift. And that's what they fear. Not competition, not burnout, accountability. This isn't a call to cancel events. This is a call to rewrite the rules. Build smaller, transparent events that don't demand silence. Normalize main store loyalty. Use group gifts and store credits like the old days. Stop treating these events like gods. They're booths with branding, that's it. You already built this world. Every prim, every script, every pose ball and mesh dress. You didn't come this far to be ruled by loyalty fees and digital politics. So what happens now? That's up to you. But know this, they can blacklist a creator. They can hide a brand. They can play favorites, raise fees, and take their cuts. But they can't survive without you. They need your content. They need your talent. They need your silence. So stop giving them that last one. The prim mafia thrives on quiet. Break the silence. Break the system. And build something better. On your terms this time. The oversupply spiral. How we got here. We didn't start with corruption. We started with exposure. Back when events were few, being accepted into one was a badge of honor, a launch pad for new creators, and a highlight reel for the established. The shoppers came because the events curated for quality. But now, there are so many creators and so many events that the entire system has tipped into oversaturation. We're talking daily sales, marketplace sales, main store sales, monthly events, bi-weekly events, seasonal events, body-specific events, fat pack discount events, and now returns of gacha events with booth fees that could feed a family. It's not just too much, it's unsustainable. There are possibly more creators than actual active shoppers, and every creator is trying to get noticed in a crowd that's now shouting into a void. So what do? Join more events, release faster, cut corners, reuse the same template, slightly modify the same item and call it new. That dress? Now it's a shirt. That shirt? Now it's a jacket. That jacket? Now it's mid-length. Throw on a belt, slap a fat pack HUD on it, and boom, that's a new release. This isn't innovation, it's content inflation. The shoppers have caught on, and it shows. Events that used to be full for days now barely peak for hours. No more teleport spamming. No more sim-full rage. You walk in 6 hours after opening, and it's almost empty. Booths left unrented. Big gaps. Empty walls. People aren't spending thousands of lindens anymore. Because why would they? It's the same recycled inventory with different lighting. And that bathroom set you saw last month? It's back. Slightly retextured. Still has broken poses and lazy animations because creators are too numb from preparing for the next 3 event deadlines to even sit on the sofa they're selling. Creators are burning out. This is about creator survival mode. They're treading water in a system that forces output over innovation, visibility over value, and volume over vision. And the result? Quality drops. Creativity dies. Trust erodes. Events feel like empty rituals, places to be seen, not places to discover. And if you say this out loud, you're called negative, bitter, told you don't support the community. But let's be real. What community is left when no one is creating anything original anymore? What made Second Life exciting was the idea that someone could create something you'd never seen before. Now, it's just scroll, scroll, scroll. Oh, another sofa, another bathtub, another half jacket that's pretending to be a dress. This is how we got here. Through exhaustion, through inflation, through fear. And unless something changes, it's not just creators who'll walk away, it'll be the shoppers too. When everything's a discount, nothing has value. Weekend sales started with a good idea. One list, a few hand-picked stores, a little thrill. You'd teleport in, grab a bargain, maybe discover someone new. It felt like community. It felt curated. But then, everyone wanted a piece. Events launched their own weekend sales. Event owners who didn't even host physical sims started managing sales lists. Creators jumped in because, hey, it's traffic, it's exposure. And now, we're not talking about 20 brands. We're talking 350 brands in a single weekend sale. And that's just one. There are multiple competing weekend lists now, all stacked with the same creators rotating slightly different shades of the same fat pack. The problem? Too much plus too fast equals no value. When you release something at full price on Monday and it's on sale by Friday, people notice. You noticed. You made a list. And you're not alone. Shoppers are quietly doing the math. Why pay 499 lindens when I can wait 3 weeks and get it for 55 lindens? And now the loop is broken. Because even creators who don't want to do sales feel pressured to join just to keep up with the noise. So what happens? They dump products onto every list they can. They rush releases to match sale dates. They burn out trying to cover 13 events in 1 month. And then they turn around and say, we're not making enough money. Should we raise prices? Raise prices? You just sold your entire inventory for the price of a gachapon pull. You're not just undercutting other creators, you're undercutting yourself. And let's be real. Nobody has time to sift through 350 stores every Friday. Literally, who has the time? Not when you're unpacking last week's hauls. Not when you're playing Cards Against Residents until 2 a.m. Not when you're deep in IMs debating whether pixel love is real love. So people skim. They miss things. They feel overwhelmed. And when everything's on sale all the time, shopping stops being exciting. It becomes exhausting. The true cost? It's not just about Linden's, it's about brand trust. You're telling your customers, "This thing I told you was worth 699 Lindens? Just kidding. It's 60 Lindens next weekend." No one wants to feel like they paid for something that was going to be discounted 5 minutes later. When everything's a deal, nothing's a reward. And when shopping becomes a chore instead of a thrill, people stop showing up. Seraphim. The shopping god that everyone serves. At first glance, Seraphim SL looks like a community blog, a nice, clean listing site that helps people find events, sales, and new releases. And to be fair, they've done it well. They created a standard. They became the go-to, and now they're the most influential platform in Second Life's economy that isn't owned by Linden Lab. But behind the thumbnails and timestamps, Seraphim is a quiet powerhouse, and it's monetized to the max. Where's the money? Let's break it down. 1. Sponsor spots. Events and brands can pay to be featured more prominently. Top rows, bigger graphics, early access. These are not cheap. 2. Boosted posts. Want your sale to stand out in a sea of 80 weekend promos? Pay for the privilege. The more you pay, the higher you rise. 3. Ad space plus banners. Scroll any Seraphim page and you'll see ad banners, usually events or body shops. These aren't freebies. But what about their team? They've got people taking pictures, writing blurbs, uploading galleries, and yes, that takes time. But how much are those contributors really making? Let's be brutally honest. They're likely paid in Lindens or minimal stipends, not RL equivalent wages. They do the grind. The real profit goes up the ladder. And here's the quiet power move. Seraphim doesn't host events. It doesn't build. It doesn't create content. But it's become the central hub of the shopping ecosystem. Want visibility? You pay to be listed. You pay to be boosted. You pay to stand out on a page that shoppers rely on like gospel. And if you're not on Seraphim, good luck getting seen. Especially in a sea of 300 plus weekend listings and constant event turnover. That's not evil. That's not even unfair. That's just how the ecosystem evolved. But it's worth saying, while creators are paying to be included, paying to be promoted, and paying to survive, the platforms that advertise them and don't create anything themselves are sitting comfortably at the top of the grid food chain. The ironic loop. Creators pay to join events. Events pay Seraphim for promotion. Shoppers visit Seraphim to find sales. Creators still at the back of the line. Seraphim doesn't exploit creators directly, but the system around them absolutely does. And they're sitting at the top, letting it all flow through them. This isn't a takedown. It's a reality check. Good for Seraphim. They saw the niche and built the infrastructure. But let's not pretend that creators haven't been pushed into the background of their own economy, because whether it's events taking booth fees, hosts charging for note card placement, weekend sales burying your release under 349 others, Seraphim charging for front row promo. The pattern is clear. Creators build the value. Everyone else collects the revenue. Seraphim became the Bible of Second Life shopping, but even the Bible doesn't pay the profits. Look, I'll be honest, I barely check Seraphim anymore. And it's not shade, it's just time. I'm busy. You're probably busy too. And going through those endless pages of weekend sales? It takes hours. I used to scroll them religiously. Until someone casually mentioned there are over 300 stores in some of those lists, and I thought, what the hell am I doing? Meanwhile, 50 Linden Fridays has shrunk, but everything else exploded. There's a sale for every day of the week. Add monthly events, pop-ups, body-specific releases, limited time exclusives. I mean, come on. Who has time? I'd rather spend my Saturday dragging Denise to an event just so she can insult everything on site. Or playing Cards Against Residents for 5 hours straight. Or debating the psychology of pixel relationships on live stream with Clara and Andy. Or planning a dinner party and then bailing on it to do yoga in a cow onesie. I love shopping. I still check the brands I follow. I still love a good flick through Flickr or catching a Facebook post mid-scroll. I still teleport to the major events, especially the themed ones that only come around once or twice a year, like Food Court or Summerfest. But this non-stop stream of new events, it's not about creativity anymore. It's not about the shopper. It's a business model. And it starts with money, not people. If these events truly cared about shoppers, the first thing they'd do is ban creators charging for one Linden demos. But they haven't, and that tells you everything. I'm not saying every event owner is like that. I'm sure there are still genuine ones in the mix who actually care. But the rest, it's business as usual. And honestly, you do you. I'll do me. If your idea of Second Life is shopping 12 hours a day and unpacking the other 12, go for it. If that's your fun, live it. Me? I'll be out doing dumb things with my friends and going on random adventures with my partner, because that's what keeps me logging in. So here we are. Events were meant to showcase talent. Now they showcase survival. What started as collaboration turned into competition. What started as opportunity turned into obligation. And the creators, the ones who actually build this world, are still sitting in the back seat while everyone else cashes out at the front. So if you've ever wondered why your favorite brands vanish, why everything looks the same, why you don't feel the magic anymore, maybe it's not burnout. Maybe it's the system. Support the creators who are still showing up. Buy from their main stores. Tip them if you can. Share their work. Because without them, all that's left is a shopping list with no soul. And honestly, clearly, I chose the wrong business model. I started a rental estate. Silly me. Affordable housing. Cute. Community spaces. Adorable. But the real money, it's in shopping events. 3,000 Lindens per weekend sale listing. 10,000 Lindens for a decent booth. 50,000 Lindens if you want a sponsor title and the right to breathe near the landing point. And now I'm just sitting here thinking, maybe it's my turn. Maybe I'll start my own event. We'll call it Primageddon. Tagline. Pay up or shut up. Booth fees? Emotionally calculated. Gallery placement? Determined by how many times you compliment my outfit. Applications? Don't bother. I only accept telepathic invites and brands that smell like relevancy. Just kidding. Unless... Anyway, you've seen the system. You've met the cartel. You've clocked the prim mafia. Now the question is, what are you going to do about it? Alright, that's enough pixel truth for one day. If you made it this far without rage teeping out or throwing your mesh shoes at the screen, congratulations. You're officially part of the resistance. So do the thing. Like, subscribe, comment, or don't. I'm not your virtual mum. But if you do, you're fueling more chaos, more honesty, and more flaming hot prim takes. This was Slexposé. This was the Second Life shopping cartel. And this was me logging off until I launch my first fake event and start charging 1 Linden for the demo application. Catch you in the next one. Pris is out.